The Warriors get their biggest win of the year, in my opinion. They go to the Mecca, to New York City, pull out the win 114 and 102 against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. Started off shaky, Sage. They couldn't hit any shots in the first half, but their defense throughout was solid, and Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler came to play in the second half, and they got the win. They pulled it out.
No, I mean, it's what you wanted to see from this team, right? Like 100%. So they don't have their shots dropping once again. They can't get any offense. Terrible, terrible, terrible defense in the first half. In that first quarter, really. I mean, you're letting the Knicks get to the line, get to the rim, do whatever they want on you, and then it just all flips, right? Like resiliency, Jimmy taking over in the fourth quarter after kind of no showing, and just everyone doing their role. It's just something you want to see with this team as they grow together. So hell of a win on the road in the Mecca, a place they're comfortable playing in, a place they always win in.
I mean, we honestly didn't even know if Steph Curry was going to play before the game. He obviously, yesterday against the Charlotte Hornets, got his ankle hurt a little bit. You thought on the back-to-back it may have been tough to go and play, but I told you, Sage. I told you earlier in the day, you didn't think he was going to play, but I'm like, it's MSG. Steph's going to try to suit up, and Steph was the Steph that we've seen all year. So he put up 25. Him and Butler led the scoring, but like I said, Sage, I think it was the defense all day. Jalen Brunson did his job. He had 25 points. Honestly, he impressed me throughout, Sage. I know that you're not the biggest Jalen Brunson fan, but I thought he played well. But in that fourth quarter, he didn't take a shot until the 3-minute mark. Got to give credit to Moses Moody and that entire Warriors defense for making it hard on the Knicks all day. They didn't whatever struggles the Warriors had shooting, the Knicks were even worse. And outside of Brunson and OG Anunoby, who I don't know, Sage, was this the best offensive game you've ever seen from OG Anunoby? I've never seen him play like this. Outside of those two, the Knicks really didn't do that much.
So if you follow like Real Sports, like the app where they post all like the scores, like sometimes they'll post
I don't, but it seems like everybody goes off of that. I feel like I need to jump into that now.
So every now and then, like they'll post, because I don't really watch the Knicks as closely as maybe others, but sometimes they'll post an OG Anunoby stat line. Like I can never, because his shot looks broken, like everything. So it's like sometimes I could just never imagine him doing that. And then today, like hitting corner threes, step back, side step threes. I mean, I guess the guy has a bag. It's like a once every 10 games, like he could give you 20, 30, but it happened today and they were able to extinguish the flames. So, I mean, Jimmy couldn't do anything with him in that first half. He was eating Jimmy up on defense, scoring
6
on Jimmy
points, and it looked ugly. It looked ugly.
Yeah. Just big body going down the lane. I mean, knocked Kevin Knox to Hoboken, driving through the lane, just like sidestep, made a business decision, and then wouldn't take the charge and then isn't seen again for the rest of the game. So Steve Kerr had enough of that. But I mean, you fight off a good Anunoby game. You minimize Brunson as much as you can. You don't foul him. You know, you kind of like stick with him. You have Moody, Pods. I mean, what a first half by Pods, keeping them in. I mean, you got to shout that guy out. Like the bigs didn't really have it, but the guards, right? Moody steps up, Pod steps up. And I mean, he really kept him in, and then Curry takes over in the second half.
Let's talk about Pods a little bit, because other than Steph, I feel like Podziemski's been the one that has had the most impact since Jimmy Butler left. I mean, we always brought it up at the start of the year. Everybody wanted him out of town, but it seems like, especially in those lineups where Steph's off the court and Podziemski's kind of running the show with Jimmy, he doesn't have as much to do now. Podziemski's a talented player, and it seems like now with Jimmy out there kind of run the show, being the main guy, that he just has to find his holes, and he's talented, and I feel like it's just a lot easier for him to flow into the game where he could just find his spot, and he doesn't have to lead the show like he did before Jimmy. So he was impressive all day, even on defense too.
100%. I mean, I don't know if he took any charges, but staying in front, he's always the first guy to get to the rim. He's always running, like always trying his best. Like he never half-asses, right? Like you have these guys, you know, whoever you want to say, like even Jimmy kind of took that first half off, it felt like. And Pods is just not in his DNA. He's the guy who on free throws is at the top of the key, running in, trying to tip it in, always taking charges, like hustling. The Warriors need that. They're an older team. It's like funny to think, but like you look over to the East and the Knicks are kind of like the Eastern version of the Warriors without like the superstars. It's like they have like the young, gritty players who just give it 100% and they're a bitch to play. Like you would never really think of the Warriors as like dogs, like a team that's going to beat you up. But like the guys who do it, it's like funny. It's Pods and it's Moody, like guys who are just first guys on the floor, taking charges, fighting for every rebound, and they like add what you need. Like it's like funny because it's what a basketball team needs is you need those dirty work guys who it can't be Draymond every time. Like you have a guy like Pajemski, you have a guy like Moody in the starting lineup to do that type of shit. So Draymond, Steph, and Jimmy could just run the offense and play off each other. It flows so perfectly.
Moody did good today too. I mean, not the sexiest stat sheet night. Like I think what did Moody?
Yeah, he's missing a lot of shots.
I think Moody maybe got a couple late game kind of like stat padding buckets at the end there, but he didn't really do that much on offense. But it seemed like he was the main guy on Brunson all night, and I think he did a good job. And like you said, Sage, with guys like Pajemski and Moody now, you just got to be a dirty kind of just find your role. And with Moody, didn't hit that many shots tonight, but I feel like if he's just a 3-and-D guy the rest of the way out, he's lanky, athletic. That's all we need him to be. And it seemed like tonight he just focused on the defensive side of the ball. And some nights that's what you got to do. You got to sacrifice whatever kind of points or output you could get on offense to do the job on the best player for the Knicks. And in that fourth quarter, he made it really hard on Brunson to get open and get open shots.
Chase, we said it when we were talking about Iggy, right? Like how important it is to have no egos on the team. Like guys who are willing to just put the team first, put winning first. Like that's 100% what Moody and Pajemski are. Like they're guys who will they'll get benched. Like look at Moody, bro. He was in the doghouse for basically the first 2.5 years of his career. Always first man up, like ready to go, like mentality. In the play-in game against the Kings, like only guy who gave a shit, came in cold, like was the only reason we didn't get blown out. Like this year, like kind of, like pushed to the side. Like we had Melton, we had Buddy Hield, and he kind of wasn't getting any time. Now, like you see it, the spot opens up. He fits like a glove with Jimmy, with Steph, does the dirty work, and he's always ready to go. That corner three is becoming money. It wasn't really there today, but he's not Steph. Like there's going to be games. Like this is the NBA. 82-game season. Like you're not going to have it some other nights. Like how else can you impact a game? That's what it comes down to, right? It's like, how else can you impact a game? And he can impact it in so many different ways. Like he's playing hard defense. He's always swarming to the ball. So you got to love having that, like the youth and all of that. And then just like when Kuminga comes back, you're going to really have three dogs, like three young dogs who are going to give you that every game, night in, night out.
They brought the energy all night. I was kind of surprised, Sage, because that MSG crowd looked like they were into it. I mean, I don't know if you were listening to First Take this morning, but Ocho, they were all talking like, who's getting tickets to the Warriors-Knicks games? It seemed like the entire city wanted to go to this game. They love Steph Curry out there, but you'd feel like the home crowd was jacked up. But it seemed like the Warriors at the end of it had all the energy. It felt like they needed to get this game. You didn't think so? I felt like the Warriors' energy was way higher than the Knicks at the end there.
Oh, 100%.
It seemed like they knew they had to get this game, and they went for this game, and maybe they're going to pack it in on Thursday against the Nets. That's what I think.
No, 100%. Like I literally had this thought, like it felt like the Knicks were the team, the older team on the back-to-back, right? Like the Warriors coming off, I guess, like a blowout win. So they kind of took their foot off the gas in the second half. I don't think Curry played the fourth quarter yesterday. So he was fresh, but he rolled his ankle. So he was a little hobbled. You didn't know what you were going to get. And just, I mean, it's funny because the way it worked is like the Warriors came out slow. I mean, in that first half, unforced turnovers, couldn't hit a three, couldn't hit the side of the barn to save their lives. You have Jimmy shooting the flattest jumpers of all time. I think they
Steph was getting beat up.
Yeah. I think
we have to talk about ran into the fans.
Hold on, let's talk about that.
Oh my God, this could be bad. I'm like, Steph might fucking really get hurt in this game. And
I want to table that because I have something on that I want to get into, but just missing layups, couldn't finish, just miscommunication, throwing the ball.
Wide open threes, just fucking clanking them.
So I want to go off your point now, right?
Yeah.
I think that's why Steph came out so hot in the second half. They were it was like the Jordan rules. Mikal Bridges holding him, he's a Kello Witherspoon. Every play, just he couldn't move. They could have called that foul every single time.
Hand checking all day.
OG Anunoby come and send hard ass screens. Draymond even fucking getting him one time, threw Mikal Bridges right into him. They threw him into
friendly fire a little bit. Yeah.
Hits a three, steps on a fan's foot and falls. Somebody spills their drink on him. And I just think it motivated him. He came out firing. I mean, he was cooking in that third quarter. Vintage Warriors third quarter, took control of the game and just really didn't look back.
It's like the new vintage Warriors third quarter. I mean, Steph gets heated up. I think he had some points in the second quarter there, but he really started to make a difference in the game in the third quarter. But it's also Jimmy getting to the line, which it seems like it solves everything now.
It does.
It really does, because it gets Steph rest, and that's just Jimmy being aggressive. And that's exactly what we missed with Wiggins. A guy who maybe if Steph's not having the best night or if Steph needs to take a breather, he's just going to take the ball, go to the rack. And I think, what did Jimmy have? About 10 free throws a day? Especially in the end there.
Zero in the first half.
When we needed to get a bucket at the end there to really lock up the game, he was just doing that all day. He was getting to the line, and that's what we need. That's what the Warriors need.
100%. I mean, like you just think about it, right? It's like in the first quarter, Steph's not doing anything. He's playing non-aggressive. Jimmy's really not, like, he's trying, but he can't do anything. And it's Pajemski, like, really carrying you. In that third quarter, Steph goes to the bench. What happens? Buddy Hield heats up, keeps you afloat, right? And then it's 93-92, 7 minutes left. Steph checks back in, 11-2 run right off the bat. And they just never look back. And it just, they heat up despite the refs, some terrible, terrible calls. Like I hate getting into it with the NBA.
Shaky game from the refs for sure.
You could complain about the refs every night, like whenever you want to, like you could always point to the refs. But tonight it was just weird, man. Like it felt like every opportunity they had, they just screwed the Warriors, but it didn't matter. I mean, you shot the hell out of the ball in that third and fourth quarter. You rebounded, you came with some energy. I mean, dude, like I watch a lot of NBA. No one, I swear, no one plays defense like the Warriors. The way they play team defense, like the way they hound the ball, the double teams, like the actions, the way they use zones, like the way they double, like the way they just move as a unit. It's crazy. The way Stackhouse has these guys firing on defense, it's special. Like it really is special. From the start of the season too, like you could tell like the defensive side of the ball really stepped up, really changed. And like this game, right? Like you have OG going off, but you really bottle up Brunson and you make them, make decisions. Like at the end, they try to go one-on-one. Here comes the double. Here now they're switching across the ball. Now you have Deuce McBride, like Precious Achiuwa, trying to make offense because there's 6 seconds left on the shot clock. Just really smart unit. Like the way that they played it, the way that they like swarm as a team, it's so like fun to watch. It's like old Warriors basketball.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you get a guy like Jimmy Butler, everybody kind of brought up how when you lose Wiggins, you're going to lose your point of attack defender. You're going to lose probably the most athletic guy. But this defense is working a lot better because now with Jimmy, you have 3 high IQ basketball players on the court. And even though Jimmy's probably not better than Wiggins one-on-one, the way that he helps on defense, and I don't know, Sage, what I was most impressed with late in that game was just Jimmy playing off of Draymond. I mean, how many back cuts did Draymond hit tonight where Jimmy just kind of made a move, cut to the basket, and it was a wide open dunk? So it seems like Jimmy Butler's IQ is what is causing the difference on defense and offense.
100%. I mean, I think like once we get Kuminga back, like he is going to eat off those backdoor cuts, like those back screens, like playing off Steph's man and just cutting to the basket. His post game and his like ability to get to the line, that's one thing, right? Like it's clutch down the stretch, but the way he moves the ball around the court, like the way he is as a decision maker, how he gets the ball to like Pajemski, to Moody, to Hield on these cuts, like it's so underrated, like part of his game where you really have to watch it to appreciate it, right? Because even like someone who, like I say, me and you, we follow the league, maybe not as closely with the Heat, but now that he's here, you can kind of see it. Like this is why people who like him like fight for him, because he really does affect the game, impact the game, every level of the game. Like he's finding the open guy, making the right passes. I mean, it's a little frustrating, like that first half, right? Like that's your fear when you get a guy like Jimmy, right? This was like the big fear is like when he's on, it's perfect. But sometimes, a little bit on cruise control, like it's not an every other night guy, but like maybe an every other quarter guy. He's like a seasoned boxer, like take a round off here and there. But like when it's go time, when it's like clutch time, nut crunch, got to get a bucket, he's going to show up. He's going to be that guy.
It seems like he just unlocks everybody because the Warriors, before they got Jimmy, it seems like they were just relying on the role guys like Pods, Moody, Hield to just always be consistent and do too much. And in all reality, they're just not that good. But it seems like Jimmy has just found a way to...
Really? They're good? You're an asshole.
Well, no, I mean, like Pajemski is not going to be a guy who reliably could run that second unit by himself. I don't think that Moses Moody is going to be a starting 2-guard in this league that it's like you just give him 20 shots a game. So I feel like they're role players. And when you get Jimmy in there, when you get a second option, it seems like it allows those other guys to just fit into their role. And it's just made everything with this team work. And I'm at the point where, can we just bring Jonathan Kuminga back in? Because I know what we look like with Jimmy right now. I think that this is their most impressive win since Jimmy Butler's came to town. I mean, back-to-back, tough place to go to. I mean, Madison Square Garden is a tough place to go to. This is a tough Knicks team. I'd say they're a top 3 team in the East. I don't give them that much of a chance to go that deep into the playoffs or make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but this has been one of the best teams in the NBA over the past couple of years. You're coming off a back-to-back, and you get a win. Without Kuminga, they didn't have Cat, but still. I'm impressed with them, and I just want to see what happens when you throw Kuminga into the situation, because I think sky's the limit if you get performances like you got out of Kuminga before he got injured. It's just, dude, I'm scared because you never know with Kuminga how he's going to fit into these situations.
No, 100%. I mean, he's the type of guy where, like, when he's on, and when he's not on, he's a huge net negative, right? Like, I'm not saying he can only impact the game one way, but he kind of only impacts the game one or two ways, right? Like, he's not really a playmaker. He's not really, he feels like he should be a better defender than he is, but the athleticism, the way he opens up the passing lanes, like the way his athleticism kind of you got to put more attention in the paint because he's a lob threat. He's a guy who can get to the rim. And with the IQ of Draymond and Jimmy, I think it's really going to work. His lack of ability to shoot is going to be, a little frightening. You got to see how that part fits. But like GP2 plays so well with Jimmy, right? Like he's been the 6th man, 7th man with Jimmy here. So I just think like when you have such high IQ players, like I think they just find a way to work. They find a way to make it work. Like look at the Lakers, like Luka, LeBron, 2 ball-centric guys. Yeah. Everyone was like, how's it going to work? They both need the ball. They're geniuses. Like they're basketball.
That is Luka LeBron, though. That is Luka LeBron. Like that was bound to work no matter what.
But I just think people underestimate the fact when like you have 2 guys like who don't have egos, like just want to win, then it's scary. If Kuminga is going to come out and be like how he was last year and just, be cryptic, want the ball, want to get his money because, he has his contract coming up.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm scared about.
That's what I feel like. Scary.
I feel like he's going to try to implement himself right away, knowing that if he doesn't ball out, he's probably not going to get a $35 million a year contract. And I think Draymond brought it up when they asked him at a press conference. They said, Jonathan Kuminga is starting to practice. He's going to come back into the situation. How do you try to get him back in a groove with this team and make sure that it doesn't screw up what's been happening over the past 8 games? And he acknowledged that it's tough because you're going for a contract. You want to get yours, but you also just got to find a way to fit into the team, and you don't want to press. So because we've seen Jonathan Kuminga, and we're going to connect sports a little bit here, but Kuminga, we've seen that he can have an attitude like a guy like Brandon Ayuk a little bit.
I was going to say he reminds me of Devo.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that, like, please, dear God, Kuminga, just find a role in this team. I feel like if he finds a role and just, like, tries to, like, fit in, he's going to get his money. It's going to work. Like you said, Sage, you got Draymond, Steph, Jimmy. No one's going to be focused on Jonathan Kuminga. They're going to get you the ball in key situations and put you in the best position to succeed. Just fit into that role, and you'll be fine.
I agree, but at the same time, like he's literally exactly what this team needs. Like they need an athletic wing right now. Like the only thing I feel like they lack right now is athleticism. They don't feel small, but they at times just feel slow. Like Jimmy feels a little slow. Draymond feels a little slow. Moody feels slow. Like they try and get out in transition, but they're not burning teams. Like they still get out there, and what they're killing teams with is their intelligence right now. I just feel like they're outthinking teams. They're outworking teams like with their minds. But like you add Kuminga, a guy who could out physical, be athletic, get to the rim, be a lob threat, then I just feel like you could unlock this in a whole different way. He just has to be bought into the system and realize like sometimes when you're on the court, bro, like you're going to have to play defense. Like you're going to have to be the guy rebounding because we have Steph, we have Jimmy, and we have like maybe Pajemski's getting hot, right? Like you got to find a way to fit and do the other little shit because you're the best athlete on this team. And without Wiggins, like we need that athleticism. We need a guy who could, go get to the hole when he needs to, but at the same time, defend and do the dirty work.
My question is though, Sage, who closes? Is he going to be in that closing 5?
No, it's got to be the same lineup. It's worked
right
too well.
Because you're seeing the starting lineup. This is by far the best lineups that's worked all year. And you're right. Kuminga is that athletic freak that they need, but do you trust him in late game situations? Because I feel like there are going to be situations where some smart defenses key in on Steph, Jimmy, and allow Kuminga in the corner to shoot a wide open 3. And I'm hopeful that Jonathan Kuminga could make that part of his game better, but we've seen that he could struggle with the 3 ball sometimes. So I don't know if I trust him in those closing minutes, but to eat up minutes in the middle of the game and with some of the non-Steph minutes, for sure, Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a huge addition and is honestly going to be key if the Warriors are going to try to win a championship. You're not going to win a championship, even though this team looks great, without Jonathan Kuminga playing his best basketball. He's the piece that you need.
100%, like 100%, like you're going to need the contribution from these young guys, right? Like Steph, Jimmy, like they can do it on back-to-backs, but they can't do it for 8 quarters in a row. Like in this first half, like you need a guy like Pajemski to carry you to kind of, get the thing going. Like he was balling out, kind of got him off the ground, and then Jimmy and Steph could close. They can give you a great half on a back-to-back, but at times, like you need Kuminga to be the guy. You need him to take over for a quarter. But when Steph and Jimmy got it cooking, like, can you take a back seat? Like, can you be the guy to just let them cook, do the dirty work? Like, I need to see it from him because he's been on one mode ever since the season started, and he's been playing great. Like, he was playing some of his best ball. I think he's averaging close to 20. I don't have it in front of me. Shooting well, like at the line, getting to the rim, but it's the little things now. Like, if you want to be a winning basketball player, like in the playoffs, right? Like, he was kind of unplayable. That series against the Lakers, the series against the Kings, he was unplayable because he wouldn't do the little shit that it takes to win games. You're mature. You're going for a contract. Can you prove it now? Can you prove that you could be a cog in a winning team? So, like, now's the opportunity. We're plugging you in mid-March. Like, it's go time. You got a warm-up game against the Nets, who you got to get back even with because that loss to the Nets earlier this season still fucking sticks in my side when Schroeder absolutely cooked us in the fourth quarter. Get even with them, and then you got a good game Saturday, and he's probably going to be back for that. Because the Pistons aren't a joke.
Schroeder really did us dirty by killing us in that game, and then he
got his Jimmy, though.
The Anthony Melton for him, and yeah, he got Jimmy Butler, but what I will say, so Jonathan Kuminga, they're expecting him to come back on Saturday, Sage, and you got to think that when Kuminga comes back, he's going to take minutes from some people, and that's probably going to be a guy like Quinn Post, honestly. Front court guys like Quinn Post. I thought he was the worst player on the court today, Sage. He did not have a good game. Quinn Post.
Come on, bro. That's exaggeration.
No, but I thought he's been a revelation.
Cam Payne played. Cam Payne was on the court
today, Sage. He looked weak inside, and I know I'm very impressed with his shooting. I think he has a natural stroke. He's going to be key in some situations to spreading the court.
That walking three hit, come on.
Compared to a guy like Kevon Looney, I like Quinn Post in there better. I do. But there's some situations, Sage, where he just does not look aggressive enough inside, and he seems like a liability. And I think that happened a bit today with Quinn Post.
I don't know, man. I thought Josh Hart was brutal today. I thought he played basically the whole game.
He was not good either. No, he was not
good.
Did
nothing. Literally did nothing. I mean, Cam Payne touched the court. I think Landry Shamet was on the court. You're going to kind of have Quinn Post. So maybe he was the worst Warrior. I'll give you that.
I thought he was the worst Warrior. I thought he was the worst Warrior on the court today. Guy Santos had the early. He had the early.
Yeah, he was running away with the title at first.
Yeah,
but he came in.
He had a good little
second
half spurt though, so I can't give it to Guy.
No, I 100% agree. So are you done with the Warriors? Because I kind of want to get into the Knicks a little.
Let's talk Knicks because we're gonna talk a little bit more NBA. And earlier in the show stage, I brought up I don't know if they're on that level of Boston and the Celtics. They didn't have Cat today, but I mean, definitely not a good game for the Knicks. You came in a lot more rested than the Warriors, and they kind of took it away at the end there.
Dude, that was a weird Knicks game, right? Because it was like everything you thought that the way you thought they could present you problems, it didn't happen, right? Like it was OG Anunoby. Like a guy like OG Anunoby, like kind of killing you. Mikal Bridges, man, like it's been such a weird year for that guy. Like I think he always like gets out of bed a little more like prideful when he goes up against the Warriors, whatever it is. He loves to guard Steph, but like the shot's just not there anymore. Like his offensive game just really isn't there. Yeah. And Brunson, like if he's not getting to the line and hitting threes, like you could kind of bottle him up. He doesn't get to the rim like he was last year. I feel like that rule change that they had last year midseason kind of, sunk his offense a bit. I mean, he's going to be first or second team All-NBA. Did he look like a better player than Steph today? Like, I don't even think.
Wait, hold on. You think he's going to be first or second team All-NBA? Mikal Bridges?
No, Brunson. I'm saying Brunson.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, I'm saying Brunson. Like, did Brunson look like he was even near Steph's level today? Like, it was night and day. Like, Steph.
So I thought. I thought in the first half he carried the Knicks. I mean, they were up 8, and I think a large part of that was Brunson. OG had a good first half as well, but what was weird to me is that he was just so not aggressive when he came into the game in the fourth quarter. I think the Warriors were up like 5, shot. And for me, that was when I was like, okay, we got to watch out. Brunson's at home. He's going to try to get this crowd going and take this game back, and really was just not decisive all night. I'm impressed with Brunson. I love his game. But if we're talking about in the playoffs, he's a small guy. He kind of gives me, I think he's in a lot better version, but he reminds me of that Isaiah Thomas Celtics year where he lit up the regular season. I think they got either a 1 or 2 seed in the East, but when he has such a high usage rate and he has that kind of body, it just seems like he's going to get beat up. Man. It seems like he's going to get beat up, and Thibodeau's the worst kind of coach for a guy like Jalen Brunson because he's going to run him into the ground, and I thought that in part was why the Knicks were so tired at the end of the game. Thibodeau just runs these guys into the ground. They don't have a great bench. I think their bench is clearly the weakness, so they really try to rely on that starting five, but Tom Thibodeau is almost an example of why I believe in load management. Like, I've seen it with Tom Thibodeau teams, and it's like, oh, shit, maybe they should use some load management because they always die late in the playoffs. I mean, look at them last year. I think they came out, had a great series against the Sixers, and then against that Pacers in the semifinals just fell apart.
Yeah. Like OG, I think, pulled his hamstring. Brunson, was it his hand? He like broke his hand or something weird. I don't know. He got like,
but that was at the end. They were already done. Yeah. They were already done when Brunson got hurt.
But honestly, it's huge because I think Cat's been their best player this year, and Cat always kills the Warriors. No matter what, he always kills the Warriors. So I think it is a different game if Cat plays. But as a unit, like if one of them is not on, right? Like you're relying on guys like OG Anunoby, who played great today, right? But like we know what he is like on a night-to-night basis, like in the playoffs. Will it be there against the Boston? Probably not. Like he's great to have against a team that has a good wing because he could defend. But then like Josh Hart, right? Like first team all hustle. He's from the school of Brandon Pajemski. Like gonna do the dirty work, gonna hustle, gonna take charges. Always gonna be there. What does he play? Like he plays like 40 minutes a night. Didn't really play that much tonight because he was stinking up the joint. But I just like I don't know, man. Like I just think they're 3 deep, and then the rest of their team's like so on and off. Where like you look at a team like Boston, who's like a legitimate 7 deep, like probably the best starting 5. They have the 6th man of the year, and Al Horford's playing good too. You look at
they're not on their level. They're not. Level.
They're not.
Even Stephen A. said it. I mean, Stephen A. is probably the biggest Knicks fan.
Who we'll get into later.
Who we're gonna get into later. That guy's been causing a ruckus, but I just don't think they're on that level stage. Yeah, they remind tonight. They reminded me of the pre-Jimmy Warriors, where Brunson is the Steph. Where if Brunson isn't aggressive as hell and winning the game for them, you're going to have to rely on guys like OG Anunoby to have a 30-point night, which he did, but it still wasn't enough. They just don't have enough weapons outside of them. And Bridges, he must have the best PR guy in the league because I was impressed with him on Phoenix. He's a great he's a great 2-wing guy. He's a great defender. I thought he played very solid D on Steph all night, but at the start of the year, you saw the jumper was a little bit off. It's like, wait, hold on. What happened with his jumper? Why does it look so different? And it just looks unnatural. And I get that Mitchell Robinson just came back. Everybody in New York thinks that's going to be the big thing to push them over the edge, but they just don't have enough talent. And it is a little bit unfair to bring this up when they don't have Cat. Because I think, like you said, I mean, Cat may be their best player. I'd still give the nod to Brunson, but the fact that it's that close, you got to give Cat credit for that. So they're a different team with no Cat, but not that impressed with the Knicks today. And their defense has not been as solid as it usually is with Tom Thibodeau. I think they're ranked 15th, so you usually probably want to be in that top 10 if you want to contend for a title, and they're just not there. They're not there.
They're small. Yeah, they're a small team. Like the Warriors were able to get to the rim. They were eating at the rim. I mean, so many open shots. Like this, they could have, like the Warriors played a C- first half, right? Like I think like D at best first half. And then in that second half, blitzed them 1 by 11. Like if the Warriors were just hitting shots in that first half, they easily could have won by 20, 30 points, right? It feels like what is the Knicks A game, right? Like Cat's hitting threes, Brunson's getting to the line. Like, I don't know. It just feels like their ceiling's not that high and their floor seems like pretty low. Like it seems like they have nights where they could go cold. They're not getting to the line. They could get exposed on defense. Like Brunson's kind of a cone. You're playing guys like Shamit, Campaign. Like I get why you're playing your starters 40 minutes because those are your first guys off the bench. So I don't know. I just don't think they have enough to even compete like for 2. Like if they won 1 round, I'd be impressed. But like who scares you more, them or the Bucks? Like I'd rather see them than the Bucks. Like, there's no Giannis on that team who's striking fear.
I don't know. Milwaukee's kind of a dumpster fire right now. They traded Chris Middleton, who was their number 3 option, and you get a guy like Kyle Kuzma.
I think he played
that
well.
Seems like that's a desperate move, Sage. If the Warriors try to win a title, like get Steph's last title, and they brought in Kyle Kuzma, it's like, okay, you're trying literally everything, because Kyle Kuzma's never proven that he could be a winning player. I know that he won the bubble chip with the Lakers, but ever since the Lakers got rid of him, he's just been padding the stat sheet in Washington, just not being a winning player.
He was literally in loser town. Like, he was playing losing basketball for 4 years in a row. It's hard. You go be competitive. Like, do you know who, imagine Pajemski on like the Wizards. Like, you can't play winning basketball when you're surrounded by losers in a losing culture. It's just tough. I'm not saying that he's a winner, but he did those things on the Lakers. Like, he was a key piece to them winning that championship. Like, in the bubble.
Also, you have Doc Rivers.
What is that supposed to mean?
Can we just be?
He's not awful.
Doc Rivers, like I just brought up, Bridges has the best PR guy. Scratch that. Doc Rivers has the best PR guy, because he's gone to so many situations where it's just set up for him. I mean, Boston, you get the Boston 3 party. And then I think right after that, you have Lob City and the Clippers. I don't think they even make a Western Conference Finals. I think they're still the only team in the NBA the past 30 years to not make a Western Conference Final or a Conference Finals game. And then the Sixers, I can't really blame them for. In hindsight, I mean, you have Joel Embiid,
they're cursed,
James Harden, and Ben Simmons. Like, that was a loser right from the jump. We just didn't know it yet. But I don't know. I'd still go with Knicks over the Bucks for sure.
And then you're unemployed and you just walk into Giannis and Dame. Like, you're literally doing Bill Simmons podcast and ESPN.
I don't know why he would go back to be the Bucks head coach. He's playing golf with Larry David every day. He's going on the Bill Simmons pod. Like, that is literally that's my dream life. My dream life is to play golf with Larry David at Riviera 3 times a week and hop on Sunday Night Pods with Bill Simmons. That is literally like that. I'm in heaven if that happens to me.
If you could be a dream guest, like on any podcast, it has to be that one. And then, like, I don't know about the golf with Larry David. I feel like it's more about the stories than the actual play there. But I mean, it's a good life. Like, I always think about that too with some of these guys. I'm like, why the fuck would you go back? Like Travis Kelce, like going back for another year. Like, bro, you're rich. Like, go sit on the beach. Like, do what you got to do.
It is hard to turn down $25 million though, when it's just like, hey, all you got to do is suit up for one more year and you get $25 million in the bank. It's hard to turn that up, Sage. But anything else from this game? So for those who jumped on the stream right now, the Warriors beat the Knicks 114-102. Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler lead the way, but the Warriors defense is really what I thought won the game, kept them in the game the entire way. The Knicks shot 24% from 3, Sage, and I was checking it throughout the game. It was there the entire time. So it's not like they got cold in the second half. The first half, they were up 8, but the only reason the Warriors kept it close was because the Knicks, really outside of OG Anunoby, couldn't buy a bucket. Anybody else that we didn't bring up, Sage, really, with this game?
No one else. Just some tidbits, though. I mean, like, you've had Jimmy now 10 games, right? Or like 9 games, whatever it is. You shot more free throws than your opponents, I think 7 of the 9 times. Like, that's something that was never happened. You see how the game's changed. Like, the way they're
31st to first in free throws since Jimmy's came.
It's crazy. It's literally crazy what having a guy like that could do. Steph Curry, I think it was, -4 in the first half, plus 25 in the second half. Jalen Brunson, -20. I mean, they just took over, man. They play winning basketball. They feel, like I said, they're like a good boxer, right? Like, they're going to feel you out for a few rounds, and when it's time to, like, when they smell blood, they're going to strike.
We're like a Usyk right now. We're like a Usyk. Yeah. We don't really go with the knockout punches, but we just stay in the game, just get points, and then we get the big punches there at the end. And I'm a Tyson Fury guy, so it hurt me to say that, but
34
we are
and
kind of like
28,
Usyk.
Man. Dude, that 5th seed is in play. Like, the Rockets lost today. The Warriors are 3 games back of it now. Like, it is really,
Sage,
and you play them one more time this year. Yeah,
let's just dive into it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit, because the Warriors are about to end this road trip that they're on. They got the Nets on Thursday. Who knows what's going on, Sage? We haven't listened to any of the post games. I think there's a chance that they set a lot of guys against the Nets on Thursday. But overall, this has been a successful road trip.